Welcome, fellow seekers, to the Seekers of the Eternal podcast. My name is Krishna Chandra Das, also known as Chris Parks, also known as the visual artist Palehorse. I'm here with my podcast partner, Jay Rocha, children's storybook author, public speaker, and entrepreneur, and we get into some really interesting topics today. As always, we're talking about imagination. We're talking about our superpowers as human beings to receive visions when we're in a calm state and to be able to realize those visions in our life. We also talk about life as a video game, seeing our life as a video game, acting accordingly, and playing and enjoying our life as much as possible in a calm state. We also talk about the opportunity that comes at the moment of death and Yamantaka, the slayer of death from Tibetan Buddhist traditions. So we hope you enjoy this expanding podcast, this mind-expanding podcast, as we explore things that have just come up for us as inspirations this week. And as always, you can support this podcast by going to the online store where we have t-shirt offerings, apparel. I also have prints of deities like Ganesha. We also have Web3 offerings if you're interested in that. Please support this podcast also by liking and sharing with your friends. We'd like to see this grow more and more. So we really are grateful that you are here with us along for this journey, and blessings of joy to you, friends.
Fear not, fellow seekers. Peace awaits you in the unknown.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Seekers of the Eternal podcast. Your hosts are Jason DeRocha and Chris Parks, aka Palehorse. Chris, how are you, my brother?
Hey, doing great. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, Jay. It's been a little bit. We've maybe about a few weeks since we chatted last, and just had so much. It's always nice of when we get to reconnect. It always feels like the right perfect time for it, because it's like, okay, now I got all this this inspiration that comes through and things to share again. So I always love getting to connect with you and just have somebody like a sounding board to bounce all of these ideas off of. So I'm really grateful to have this time to share these things that are coming through with you and everyone else.
Likewise. Yeah, it feels like a vitamin tonic, or you know what I mean? Like it's just like it's that shot of B12 right in the butt for me to get going again. I just love these. It gives me so much clarity. And it's so funny, like when you get so caught up in the everyday, like you can sometimes forget all of these great lessons and um inspirational and educational conversations that we always have. And I think that's probably just part of life, right? Sometimes we'll read a book or we get inspired and we're like, okay, this is going to change things. And then you get back into these like rhythms and routines. And then all of a sudden you get hit with this circumstance or situation, and you don't like how you responded. You don't like how you reacted. And then you go think back and like, man, I talked about this 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's so nice to like be around other people that like to talk about these things, because we can keep bringing it back up, keep reminding ourselves, and then
Yeah.
just make it real. Because
Yeah.
yeah, we can have so many great experiences, awakening moments, all of these things, and then yeah, it just fades away so quickly. So yeah, this is just, and that's what I love about this podcast. We're just coming back in your ear to just remind you pretty much the same things over and over and over again, so that we can all really move into this reality. And so, yeah, let's begin together. As always, we'll just relax and release the tension. Just another little reminder to take time to move into the present moment in your day. And we're just going to do a little quick exercise to relax and release the tension. It's going to be a short and long double inhalation, and then we're going to tense all the muscles in the body. Then we're going to relax and release the tension. So let's begin. Take a normal deep inhalation, breathing in and all the way out. And now double inhale and tense. Inhale. Low, medium, high tension in all the muscles, and vibrate with willingness. And exhale. Relax, release, feel. Again, inhale intense. And a low, medium, high tension, and all the muscles vibrate with willpower. And exhale. Relax, release, let go of the tension. Last round, inhale intense. Low, medium, high, vibrate with willpower. And exhale. Relax, release. Just feel the vibration inside the body. Moving into this present moment, opening with a short prayer. Divine Mother, problems cannot exist whenever you are near. Give us strength always to hold you in our hearts and to share your light and joy with everyone we meet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace. Amen. And just that little reminder that what we're doing here on earth, if we're interested in awakening our consciousness, what we're doing really is just learning how to stoke ourselves with joy and calmness, and then go around sharing it with other people. Even when we get into all these projects that we're doing, the big thing after all these years of practicing, and I mean, it's really a short time that for me, but all this time of practicing and meditating, the real big thing that's like coming so strong just in recent months, like energetically, this has been a really powerful month. I think collectively, a lot of people that I've been talking to is like, yeah, like books that I've been reading, things that I've been practicing, they're starting to click. Like I'm starting to like really get it and put it into practice. And I've been feeling that a lot lately. And the big thing that's coming through is just this ability now to have a sense of calmness and even-mindedness, even when the waves of life and the projects and all of the things that we're doing, being able to like not have that underlying level, that it's like this underlying layer of fear that's kind of used to always be running in the background, a fear of like,
Mm,
I might not be doing it right. Am I doing the right thing to, to take care of my family, to take care of my projects, to do all these things? Am I doing the right thing? And I feel like now the big thing that I'm learning and putting into practice is always the thing to do is to get calm, to find that inner happiness, and then that will manifest itself in all of your projects and all of your relationships. It's not like a separate thing that you're doing, like this selfish little thing to, oh, I got to make myself feel better and then I'll get back to my work. It's like, no, that's the thing to do in
yeah.
the moment, always. Mm.
Yeah, I love that share. Like sometimes, you go into like a project or any kind of focus that you may have, and you just think, I've got to get it done. I have to do this, and then I can do something, whatever else you got to focus on. But I'll give you an example. Like obviously, Chris, I'm working on this house, this investment property that I need to repair and get ready for sale. But so I have to, that's what I have to do. I have to go get this house repaired and I have to get it up for sale. And there's a certain time period that I have to do this in. But my father, who's retired, has been coming with me to the house every single day. And I get to pick him up from his house. And sometimes we have breakfast together and we get like a 10-minute ride from his house to the investment property. And then we work on the property together. And sometimes we're doing the same job, we're painting. Sometimes he's off fixing the electrical and I'm doing the trim. And until this conversation, it hasn't dawned on me. My dad is 71 years old. I only have so many father son interactions left, and they're fleeting, right? I'm probably in that. I'm definitely in that, maybe that last 10, 15, 20 years if I'm lucky. Um, and every moment that I have with him in good health, without the anxiety of and stresses of life, and our individual responsibilities, is a massive blessing. Every moment that I have with him, until this conversation, I've never really thought about. It's kind of cool. My dad comes and helps me at the house, but you know,
Mm.
these are the memories I'm probably going to cherish most when if things unfold in a programmed way where your parents outlive their children, then these moments now will be the ones that are going to be most recent and most cherished. And I
Mm,
imagine how much more cherished they would be if I approached this with that, being cognizant of the fact that these are really fortunate, blessed experiences that I have with my father at this stage of life.
mm.
So I really thank you for sharing that, Chris, because I didn't even think about it going into this. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's amazing. That little practice we did, we just, calm, relax, feel, and then, a little thing will spark just a whole new way of kind of looking at whatever it is that you're doing. That's really interesting. I grew up painting houses with my dad, doing projects like that when I was younger. So we spent a lot of time just, yeah, going to different places and working all day together. And it's been
Wow.
forever since doing that. And yeah, I guess, like as I was younger, of course, you always took those things for granted.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like having a little flip of consciousness of just approaching whatever it is that you're doing in a more present way. That's really great. Like even, like when my brother and I are painting murals together, it really comes down to, okay, it's same thing. We're up here at a wall. We got to paint this thing. We got to do this project. But it's like the interaction that we have, the mindset that we have makes it fun, makes it
Yeah.
valuable, the connections that you're having, the kind of, things that you can share with each other with having that much time. And I think also like whenever you're working with somebody, if, like a lot of people, I think, associate like stress with projects and all of that. I guess if whenever you can get into a place where you're working with somebody and whatever comes, just decide, because, of course, when you're doing a house project, there's going to be all kinds of unexpected things that pop up,
Always.
things that could cause stress. So it's like, if we decide at the beginning of this, it's like, okay, we're not going to let anything get in the way. The real thing that we're doing here is just having a good time with each other, and we're working on something for our future. And I think you can really just enjoy what you're doing and then be a really positive influence on each other
Yeah.
when you don't let any stress, like, rile things up, or, just like, all right, whatever comes, it's here for our benefit.
Yeah.
And just that's a great word to practice with. Cool, practical, practical way to look at it.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. And it's funny, like when you open yourself up to those types of experiences, you're right. You are more patient, you're more understanding, you almost embrace challenges a little bit more. You start to see them as more of a game than, like, as we always talk about, life's a game. If you're doing it with the sense of appreciation, then there's an opportunity for you to look at any challenges like, okay, I gotta fix this. Thank God I got my dad here, because he's like MacGyver. He can figure this part out. And I like to figure things out as well. And I'm learning a little bit from my dad still. I'm 43, 42 years old, and I can still get a chance to learn, XYZ from my dad. Like, there's lots of really cool takeaways, that you can get. It just depends on how you approach, the situation. The fact of the matter is, you're going to get to the end of the project regardless, but you can do it with blinders on, and not, and then miss all these really cool other opportunities you have to really make meaningful memories and learning opportunities. um so I think that's my takeaway. I can't believe we're only a few minutes into this podcast, and that was a really good takeaway to change my perspective to go into this work day of getting this house prepared.
No, nice, excellent. And that what you were saying there too about the game, that was coming through a lot to me this week. Really see, we talk about it a lot here, but the idea of seeing your life literally as a virtual reality video game. I feel this is yogic teaching at its essence, and the more our technology improves, the more it actually shows us the nature of the reality that we're in. And if we see our life situation, every morning you wake up, it's like you just hit start, ready, player one, start, and you wake up, And it's just like, okay, this is the game today. Whatever it is that you're doing, that's the game that you're playing. And the levels increase. So the difficulty, the challenges increase because you're learning, you're growing. You're not the person you were yesterday. The things that you're building on it, I'm on another level. And of course, it gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
The thing that was coming through recently is that there's a game designer. Don't feel like this is all random. There's a game designer, and that all of the situations that are thrown at you in the game are like, say, imagine if you're playing any video game, you come up against an area where you can't solve the puzzle, you can't figure out what to do next, but there's always a solution. It's
Mm.
not like you're gonna play the game and you get stuck. If unless it's a poor game design, like that old Atari game ET, where you like it was like notoriously for getting people stuck, and there was like seemingly no way out. It was just like
Right.
really frustrating. So, but if there's a really great game designer, you're never gonna be put in a situation where there isn't a way out, a way
Yeah.
to solve the puzzle, a way to move forward. So I've been using that little flip, and anytime I'm running up against something where I don't know what to do, it's like, okay, just take a moment, do that little exercise, breathe in, tense, relax, and then say to the game designer, like, I don't know what to do here. I know there's a solution. I know that everything that you give me is here to teach me something, to
Mm.
help me learn, and also to make it better. Okay, the thing that I thought was going to happen didn't, or I'm up against this challenge, but I know that you're always making it better, even though it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
Show me the way, show me the way. And it's your the thing that's been really powerful coming through. I've been diving into a lot of manifestation teachers, like people like Neville Goddard and Swami Kriyananda, and all of these yogic teachings really are about this, the nature of reality. Is that okay? This is it. It's that okay. You run into this problem in your project. Okay, and now you take a moment, you get quiet, get into the present moment, like we do a lot of times in this podcast, like look around the space that you're in, listen, just enjoy that you're in this video game, this virtual reality space, take it all in, like, wow, look at how detailed everything is,
Mm.
and how, man, this is quite a robust video game. And then tune into that game designer, which is as Neville Goddard would say, your wonderful human imagination.
Mm.
Your wonderful human imagination. He says, this is God, your human imagination. The imagination is always running, it's always coming to you. The imagination is, think of any project that anybody in the world has ever created. We went to the moon, whether you believe that or not. It had to start out as an
Yeah.
imagination, an imaginary act in someone's mind. They saw it in their mind. They felt what that would feel like if it was right now in the present moment. Wow, we could go to the moon, and then that's the reality.
Mm.
That was, you saw it in your mind, felt it happen. That's the reality. And
Right.
then the way that it plays out here in the virtual world, that's actually the virtual reality. So
Mm.
when you take that moment and you connect with the imagination, at the pure imagination. Now there's different types of intuition, or there can be, like, if your ego is running the show, if you're agitated, if you're in a fearful place, you can, rack your brain and come up with ideas, and make and manifest those. All that kind of stuff can happen. But if you want to find out what wants to happen, you can use all kinds of different tools, all the yogic tools, all of the breathing techniques, all of the, whatever it is that gets you into the present moment. For me, it's Kriya Yoga, gets you into the present moment. And then you from your brain, your ego, your small self is talking to the imagination. The imagination is bringing you intuition, sending you visions. You get a vision, and then you're like, whoa, okay. oh, there's a way, there's like a way out, there's a little solution to my problem. And then you feel that, with calm feeling, with you water it with love, they say, you just you don't judge it, you just feel that reality, and you imagine right now that reality is here. It's not sometime in the future, it's right now. What would it feel like
Mm,
if I went through with this? What would it feel like if I accomplished that? Oh, okay, here it is right now. Feel it, feel it, feel it. And I'm just noticing when I do that, it's like you just walk into that reality. This is
yeah.
Hanuman. He has the power to have a dream, have a vision. Ram is in the story of Hanuman is always sending him the next thing to do, the next thing to do. He simply is tuning in, receiving in his imagination, receiving the wisdom, receiving the vision of the future, and then saying, "Yes, I'll do it." Feel
Right.
it, and then you just look for evidence in the world of that, opportunities for you to keep moving forward, and you
Yeah.
see everything in your world as shifting and changing to make that reality yours. And
Yeah.
that's yeah it.
Yeah, it's not like it's and adopt it like it has already happened, right? Not like this will happen for you in the future. It's like this is my reality. I'm going to go out and live it right now. So all of your actions have to line up with what you've just imagined for yourself, you know? So for me as
Mm-hmm.
an author, sometimes I'm like, oh, how come, schools aren't calling me, or how come, and that's that thought of like it's inactivity, right? It's like I do nothing, it's going to come to me, which isn't necessarily the case. But if I act like I'm already that author, I can pick up the phone and I can call the school and I can book it. I can because it already exists. And so there just needs to be action. And I think that's the one thing that sometimes when we have these conversations, people are like, I think positive all the time. I think about all these positive things, but like nothing happens. But you have to actually live these positive, like live is a verb. To live is a verb. It's an action word. And so show up, get out and do something. And, you know, it's like, getting up to bat. Getting up and taking action doesn't necessarily mean you're going to hit a home run every single time you swing, but you got to swing in order to hit a home run. There's going to be strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're not going to need to swing. You can just let something pass you right by, and those moments of inactivity sometimes is important sometimes to swing at everything. But the point is like you have to step to the plate and you got to take those swings. And it doesn't matter if you're running a business. It doesn't matter if you're trying to build your relationship with your spouse or with your children. If you're hoping that your wife's going to come home and tell you you're the best spouse, or that your kids are going to say you're the best parent, and you just don't, and you're not taking any action, you're not stepping up to bat to prove worthy of that, then yeah, it's not going to happen. You can't think your way into that. But if you envision yourself, I'm a really good, I know I'm a good dad, then everything you do, every action you take has to be in that vein. And you will be surprised at how quickly you start living that life as a great father, as a great business person, as a great spouse.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, totally. And the thing that was also coming clear recently to me is that if you say in that state where it's like, oh, I want to be this version of myself, I want to have this ability, I want to be better at this, I think that it will help me on my mission to do this good work, whatever it is that I'm doing in my life. uh, I would like to have the ability to say, for me specifically, I have a trouble because I think it was for so long, I was kind of a renunciate at heart. I wasn't I kind of lost an interest in the world for a while, and I
Mm,
went a lot more interior. So I really stopped paying attention too much to the outside world, so much to like facts and names and places and all of that kind of stuff. So now I'm seeing on my mission here what I'm doing. I was saying to my imagination as it was showing me the future, I was saying, grant me the ability. So I see this future, grant me the ability, give me the strength to follow this path. I see these visions. Okay, give me the ability to follow it, take away my fear, and give me the ability to have a very strong memory. Like I would like that. And then as you're saying it, because you actually are your imagination. So the God that you're talking to is listening because you heard it. Your ego said, this is what I want in order to do great things on this earth. Your consciousness heard the ego saying, I would like to have a great memory. And you say, granted, because your wish is my command. Like the imagination has to do what you put your will towards and demand. Like Yogananda, he says we shouldn't pray as a beggar. We are our father is the emperor of the universe, and everything that is his is yours. And so when you, with all of your willpower, say, I want this, I demand this, he says, granted. And
Mm,
then we, like you said, it's now up to us to start taking the steps towards that reality, feel that that's already the case. Oh, I do have a great memory. I think all it does is I just turn that on now and I say, I do have a great memory. Then when somebody tells me their name, I'm like repeating it, repeating it. I'm looking at things, I'm paying attention to where I'm going, how I got there, and it just starts to
yeah,
manifest itself like I
yeah.
am a person with a great memory. Like you can grow up and people tell you, oh, somebody once told you were bad at math, and now you're like, I'm bad at math. So your whole life you
Mm,
just say, I'm bad at math, and now now you're bad at math. But then it's like we just have these grooves in our brain that just get worn in there by experiences, by things people tell us. They're not real. Actually we can actually dissolve those old grooves, and we can actually create new ones
yeah,
with our conscious will and our effort and attuning with these powers. So yeah, and I was going to add to that, in that same vein of taking the steps, I think it might be a one of the steps on this the progress of this, but at least it happened to me, is that I got I got a sense of my power with all the reality of this, the reality of being able to tune into the divine as my grit, as the imagination, noticing that if I did get into these calm states, that visions of the future would show up, and then feel, okay, it is 100% my responsibility to make these things happen. It's
yeah,
no longer, Chris going through life hoping things work out, just kind of casually moving through in a sort of aloof state and just wanting things to happen and having a positive attitude and just hoping somebody, it was this gripping, overwhelming realization that it's all under my responsibility
yeah, yeah,
to make it happen. And it
yeah,
was like I had like just some moments of like, oh my God, like almost like too overwhelming. And then realizing that, and then it was just like, no, 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 Chris, relax, relax, relax. It's, remember, it's not your ego doing it. You're not actually, you're just deciding to do it. You want this to happen, you want this future, you're feeling good about it, you are this person, and I'll give you the strength, I'll give you the next steps, I'll give you the wisdom. And then it became fun again. It's like, oh,
yeah.
okay, all right, it's not my ego that has to do all this, because ego can't do it.
Right. It's funny. My grandfather clock just went off when you were speaking. Like that was like the crescendo there, which is like it is. You are 100% responsible, and it is 100% within your ability. I think that's the one thing that I always try to remind myself. This is hard to remind yourself, but we are that we are all part of the infinite. There's something inside of us that no one else can touch, and that thing that it's almost like I was having this conversation the other day with my father. Actually, we said there's things that happen in this world where we can't see it, but we can feel it. We know that it's there. And something as simple as like radio waves, for example. We can turn on the radio and all of a sudden there's music there. We can make a phone call and we can hear someone's voice from across the world. There's things that happen around us where we have no idea how it's actually happening. Someone does. There's technicians out there that can clearly tell you exactly how a telephone works or radios work. But we, for the rest of us, the layman, it's magic. We just, these things appear to us without us seeing where exactly they came from. And so if you think of it, the infinite, it's that exponentially, right? It is something that we may not necessarily be able to see or hear the way that we're accustomed to, but we know that it's there. It's kind of like love. We all have the ability to experience love, and it's hard to really define it, right? You can't put love into a box, but you certainly know that you can feel it, especially you can feel it when you have it for someone or something, and you can feel that return, that love, when it's reciprocal as well. And that might be the definition of the infinite, or God, or whatever you want to define it as. But the one thing that I try to remind myself often of is that we are, if you so I'm going to use infinite and God interchangeably. um it, it- we are God having a human experience. There's something inside of us that is connected to that, to the great, to the infinite, that we have this like vessel that we get to walk around in, that we call our body, and we put all these cool things on it, to help express what we believe to be ourselves. But that thing inside of us, when we pass on to the next space and that returns to the infinite, you know imagine that we pray, we try to connect to the infinite to guide us, but like it's already within us. It is who it is. It's in our everyday. So when you said to, why it's important to pray, or why we pray or we meditate, to connect with it, it's because we already have, to your point, Chris, we already have access to it. It is already in us, thriving every day. And so we remind ourselves of that. And sometimes other people can remind us of the infinite within us, and sometimes we can need to remind ourselves that the infinite's within us. And that's when we are able to achieve anything we set our mind to. You hear that old quote, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. It's because of that. It's the belief that you are part of something so much greater than you could ever know. And if you're able to access that and just take that action every day, eventually it happens. And then people get to that space where they achieve things, and they're like, I don't know how I did it. I just focused, put my mind to it, and kept my head down and kept working hard, and eventually I got it. Well, it's because you tapped into your ultimate, the exponential potential that's within all of us. And it's not easy to do, because you have to be disciplined, and you have to remind yourself that you're capable of doing it. You have to have faith, and then you have to put a heck of a lot of action in place in order to achieve those things. But it gives me courage, and it gives me confidence knowing that there's something so much greater inside of me that I have a chance to have the ability to tap into every day, and to achieve the things that I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this world, we need to know that, because how else could we possibly exist in this life of just rapid change and all of the things that we see around us in the world? How could we possibly enjoy this life if we didn't know that? We didn't know that we were more than this was singular ego that's just going to go through and try to get as much sex and money and fame and all of the things that we can get, and then die, and that's it. If that was the case, what a grim existence that we have here on earth. We have to be it's not a very fun game to play like that. But when we can, like, God talks to us through our friends. So when we get around friends who remind us of these things, or authors or teachers who remind us of this, and then we get a little sense of like, yeah, I know that's true. I know that's true. You have a sense of feeling that that's true. You have a
Yeah.
sense of feeling your power that you have. I know that was for me. Like, I would hear these things, and immediately it would just hit like, yes, I know that. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm not at a place where I can put that into practice yet, but the seed was planted, and then it begins to grow and to grow. And then eventually, yeah, like if you put in the discipline, you keep reminding yourself, you keep doing these good things, keep putting yourself around. And that's, I love being able to talk with you, and having this podcast as a vehicle to have an outlet for these far out ideas and inspirations that
Yeah.
come through, the realizations. Because I mean, the truth of it is, you can't go around a lot of times talking like this to just the average person in
Sure.
your life.
Yeah.
So having a podcast for me is like very helpful, and having the meditation group and having my brother to talk to,
Yeah.
it's really great, because sometimes you say you if you start talking like this with people who don't get where you're coming from or haven't had any experiences like this, like it will make them angry at
Yeah.
you to
Yeah.
like talk about life in this way,
Totally.
where they're just getting it, they're not misunderstanding what you're saying. So I like, so having something like this where it's like, okay, if you don't like this, you can just turn it off. You're willingly tuning into this. And, you know, like I say it a lot, if you're hearing this kind of stuff, you are in rare air
Yeah.
of some of the most positive people in the on the planet,
Yeah.
that can hear these kind of things and it resonates with you and you want to start putting into practice. My teachers will say you don't know how close you are to your awakening experience. You don't
Mm,
know how far along on this journey that you are. Yogananda would say you have to have very, 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 very good karma to even want to know God.
mm,
So if you're hearing these things and you even want to know how to connect with your imagination, with the infinite, then you have done so much work to climb back up this mountain. I was thinking of the analogy of, you know, what you were talking about. It's like, okay, and Alan Watts says, what would you do if you were God? So this entire universe, they say, is just a manifestation, and you were saying that God is love, and that the in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was
mm,
God, and this in the Bible says God is love, and that love, they say that love and Om, the vibration of Om, the vibratory pattern that's creating all of the physical universe, that initial separation of God into from one into two into many, came out of a feeling of love. Of you
mm,
have to have you have to have a giver and a receiver of love. So without the two, there was no vibration. So vibration is a up and down, a space, up and down space, time and space. Time, you can watch things change, or you can have a distance between two things, and that vibration that began. So love, this one became two, became many, became the universe. God as love, vibratory creation of the universe, manifested itself in, it manifested itself in all that we're seeing now. And so what would you do if you were God? You would play within, Yogananda says this is God. The universe is God's hobby, and he takes it very seriously, this hobby. Yogananda says he's also very sorry to everyone about all of the suffering that we're going through, because he feels it, because he is every one of us.
mm,
If
mm.
you were God, you are all of it. And you as God are actually now, time is an interesting thing, because time allows us to feel like we're just this one at a time. Like you feel like you're just this one person having
Right.
this one single human experience, but you're really God having all of those
Mm,
human experiences.
mm.
Time helps it seem like you're only having one at a time.
Yeah.
And so what would you do if you were God? You would go and explore it and play, and you would enjoy it, and then you would over time, like want to forget that you are God, forget that you are God, and you would dare yourself to go deeper and deeper into this life, and eventually you would forget your powers, and you would start to just get more caught up in sense pleasures. So you think about this mountain, you're up at this lofty top of the mountain where you understand the nature of reality. You understand that you're God, that you can just use your imagination. You're at a you're at an apple tree and you want it to be a mango. You just change it and you just eat it. It's like you're God. And then eventually you forget, just like us, like Hanuman. Also, you forget your superpowers. And then as you forget, you start to get caught up in sense pleasures, and you follow the sense pleasures down the mountain, down the mountain. So now you're seeking after these lower
Yeah.
things. and you think that those are what's bringing you happiness. So we've climbed down this mountain, down this mountain, down this mountain, and then we finally get to the place where we've had all of these sense pleasures, and then we're like, man, this isn't doing me any good. There's
Mm,
so much more. And just like what you were saying, there's more. I know there's more. I know there's more. We're like a little monkey that just like over and over and over. It's like, okay, this is I'm working on a piece, a painting. My brother and I are starting this week on Yamantaka, the Slayer of Death. And just like a monkey that, reaches in, is trying to grab the treat and reaches his hand into and won't let go of the treat, and is just trapped. It's kind of like us. We over lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, we get caught up in three things. It's so simple. It's like sex, intoxication, and greed. It's
mm,
like those are the three things that keep us coming back over and over and over in this cycle of
yeah.
forgetting and just becoming the one little body, and not realizing that we could expand and be all the bodies, and we could hop around to everything and not get caught up in the one little thing and the stress and all of that kind of stuff. We just keep getting trapped. So Yamantaka into Tibet, in the Tibetan tradition. And I'm pretty green on this, but I love tuning into the deities and making paintings of them because they begin to speak to me and talk to me. So the thing that was coming through is that Yamantaka is the slayer of death.
Mm,
In the Hindu tradition, death is known as Yama. Yama, there's a story in the Katha Upanishad about a teenage boy named Nachiketa who who purposefully goes to meet Yama, the king of death. And they say that upon death, in the moment of death, you're met by Yama. And Nachiketa, he was a very advanced young yogi, and he wanted to know the secrets of death, to overcome death, to stop this cycle of birth and death and rebirth. And so Yama, what he does is he starts to put into your mind visions of dancing girls, of beautiful music, of luxuries, of all of the things that you could have, and tries to send you back down to earth to go do it all over again. So it's like we find ourselves in this great opportunity every time that we leave this body. We expand, and we have this opportunity to stop the cycle, realize we're God, and not just jump back into the video game and hit play again, play again, play
right.
again. And so Yamantaka, he's that energy that is the slayer of death, that ability that we have, like Nachiketa in the story, that says, Yama, you're not giving me a blessing, you're giving me a curse. He's offering you these, and he'll try to trick you. Say, no, 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 but these beautiful girls, these women, they're not just beautiful. They also have, they're also intelligent. They're well read. They can sing, they can perform, they can paint, all of these beauty. So he's trying to entice you by these good qualities, these interesting things. And you're like, no, Yama, you're trying to trick me. You're trying to trick me. And so that Yamantaka, he's that our ability to say, no, I'm not
Mm,
going, I'm not falling for that again. I'm not falling for it again. And so when we have that ability to just in that moment of death, just chanting Om, Om, Om,
mm,
connecting with love again, the love vibration, which is the cause of everything. Then we get to go to that. We get to leave all of this behind. Uh, we get to leave behind all of the agitation, all of the suffering. We don't leave behind all of the bliss and the joy and the infinite nature of reality, because that's who we are. It doesn't go to like zero to nothing. I mean, it's like it's Sat Chidananda, ever conscious, ever existing, ever new bliss, without limiting it down to just one form. And so
right.
that's at least my take on it there. So yeah.
That's really cool.
And yeah, we got about
I was
5 minutes here, I guess, before
yeah, I was
we wrap
listening to,
up.
yeah, I just wanted to say there, I was listening to something else, someone else actually talking about, in that same kind of vein about how negotiating with the desire to, because we all have it, those desires to with like laziness or indulgence or um temptation, like to get to a space where you're going to say to yourself, I'm no longer going to negotiate. Maybe I should, I've already made the decision has already been made. The negotiations are over. I'm going to do what I set out to do, what I know that I should do. And so temptation, intoxication, laziness, all of those things, you don't get a vote anymore. You're no longer sitting at this table for negotiating. And I think that was one of those things I was like, wow, that's really good. Like you don't have, people say like, what's this part? It's human. It's part of who I am. Maybe, but you don't, you can make the decision to no longer negotiate with any of those things that pull you off the direction you're trying to go to. And Kobe Bryant, I know
Mm-hmm.
he used to talk about this a lot. Like, when he made his mind up to put to this is where I need to go, then all of those other distractions, oh, I'm in so much pain, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm gonna feel it, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. I'm not even listening to it. I'm showing
Mm-hmm.
up. I'm not negotiating
Mm-hmm.
with any of those fear-based or lazy temptations. He's like, I'm just getting up and I'm just going, and that's the bottom line.
And that's why they say too, like meditation is a practice for the final exam. Once you
Mm,
find yourself, you spend your whole life practicing, creating discipline, whatever it is that you're aiming that at.
yeah.
And in your meditations, if you're developing that willpower, if you're developing that connection, that when you do find yourself in that great opportunity, that moment of death, and you've been practicing for it all along, you've been reading these kind of stories, you know that you're going to be faced with this. Yeah, I'm not going to negotiate. And two, in the future here, I think one of our future guests here that I've been talking to, we may get into talking to one of my teachers at Ananda here about death and about the moment of death and the life as a practice for death. And I think that's going to be a really fast, because he has such interesting insights around all of this and around why we take birth with this body at this time with these parents. And there's all this yogic science that you can pinpoint to all of these things that I think will be really fun to talk about here in the future. And yeah, we're going to make this one a little bit short today, and we'll kind of pick up again here in the future to pick up where we left off. So thanks to everybody for joining us today. I know Jay's got to run, and um, we'll pick up on a lot of this. I have some really great plans for where we're headed here with the future of the podcast. So I think maybe I'll share that in the next one as we move forward with this. And I think everybody's gonna really enjoy it. Also, I've been every Tuesday on Instagram Live. That's at Seekers of the Eternal. Join, and we've been practicing with harmonizing relationships. We've been practicing. There's one on there now that you can tune in with, where it's about sending the life force energy to the spiritual eye, seeing the light there. And Yogananda has a technique for that light reflecting back onto the brain, scanning the brain, filling the brain with light, dissolving those old grooves that keep us into repetitive negative thought patterns, destroying those grooves, and then actually creating new grooves that are more harmonious and that actually
Mm,
allow you to have a more peaceful mind. And he says this is for those, Kriya is the supreme practice for this, but then these techniques he created for people to just do right now. So I've been sharing that on the Instagram Live. Go check those out. And it's been a joy being with you, and we'll be back again soon.
sounds good. Thank you so much, Chris, for your insight and wisdom today. It's always a blessing.
Yeah, likewise. I love hearing your stories. I hear, and that really helps me to think about, how to apply these things to my day as well. So thank you for sharing, and thanks to everybody for tuning in. And we'll see you again next time. It's joy to you, friends.
Always
Blessings.
take care.